The Supreme Court heard arguments today on whether police should handle people with mental issues differently when responding to emergency calls. Now, it's based on a case out of San Francisco where police used force against an armed, mentally ill woman resisting arrest at a group home. A lower court said the Americans with Disabilities Act required officers to act less aggressively to defuse the situation. The case is being closely watched right here in Georgia after military veteran Anthony Hill, acting erratically, was shot and killed at his apartment complex naked and unarmed. DeKalb police officer Robert Olson, the DeKalb department says that he used deadly force when Hill lunged at him. Now, 11 Live's Duffy Dixon is following this story and joins us now with more. Duffy, do we know for certain at this point that Hill was mentally ill, first off? And if so, did Officer Olson know that going into the situation?
Oh, we don't know. After the fact, Hill's family has told us only that he struggled since returning from service. But Hill described himself on social media as bipolar. And while we don't know firsthand what happened in the moments leading up to the shooting, we have exclusive video taken just afterward. We see for the first time and hear for the first time some of the actions of Officer Olson. Approximately 4 minutes after DeKalb County police officer Robert Olson has shot and killed Anthony Hill, he is wearing gloves, his first aid kit is out, and he's trying to control the scene. He's the only first responder there. No EMTs, no other officers.
Do you see what happened?
He asks people what they saw, and he tells people where to go. At one point, someone tries to take a picture of Hill's body, and you hear Officer Olson.
He's pointing out who the witnesses are.
We asked defense attorney and former policeman Phil Holloway for his take.
He's doing his best to secure the scene so that investigators can process it. He's keeping witnesses away from it so that they can't tamper with anything, so that a thorough and proper investigation can be done.
It was a 911 call from this apartment complex 2 weeks ago, acting erratically, that brought Officer Olson to the scene. He encountered 27-year-old military veteran Anthony Hill, without clothes and unarmed. Police say Hill lunged at Olson, and that's when he... Big question for many, including Hill's family, is why didn't Officer Olson use his taser to subdue Hill instead of his gun?
He had no idea who he was dealing with, what this person's mental status might be, or whether or not he might be on some type of drugs. What would have happened to them had this guy taken this officer's weapon from him? You could be looking at potentially a bloodbath.
The GBI is now investigating. Now, it would likely be a grand jury who decides exactly what happens next, whether Officer Olson's actions were justified. Now, these are his employment records, giving us a clearer picture about his service leading up to that day. We'll have that coming up at 6.
The new insights into the police officer under investigation for shooting and killing a county.
It happened 2 weeks ago, and 11 Alive's Duffy Dixon has obtained now Officer Robert Olson's employment records. Duffy?
Well, these give us a clearer picture, Brenda, about his history leading up to the shooting. And a new exclusive video we've obtained shows the officer's actions and words in the minutes afterward. Looking at the employment records of DeKalb County police officer Robert Olson, you see regular promotions, high marks on his evaluations, in some cases far exceeding what's expected, and only one reprimand in his 8 years on the job, cursing during a traffic stop, for which he received a written warning.
I have reviewed his personnel file, and I can tell you that he exceeds the state-mandated training every year. Sometimes doing 3 to 4 times as much training as is required. All we see in his career is someone who is conscientious, who is professional, and who is extremely well trained. He's pointing out who the witnesses are.
Defense attorney and former policeman Phil Holloway believes that training shows in this exclusive video 11 Alive News has obtained. It was taken in the moments after Officer Olson shot and killed 27-year-old Anthony Hill. Hill, a military vet, was stark naked running through his apartment complex. Neighbors called 911. Police say when Hill lunged at Officer Olson, the officer shot and killed him. In the moments afterward, Officer Olson is seen with gloves on, his first aid kit on the ground. He is the only first responder on scene. He tries to figure out who may be witnesses and keep people out of the immediate area until investigators can arrive. But it is what happened earlier that was not captured on camera that a current GBI investigation is focused on.
The real question, and the main question that I think investigators will be looking at, is whether or not it would be more reasonable for him to have elected to use a taser first as opposed to his firearm.
Police confirm Officer Olson was carrying both a taser and pepper spray in addition to his gun. Duffy Dixon, 11 Alive News.
All right, Duffy, thank you.